Welcome. In this lesson, we'll look into how to spot high paying B2B freelance writing clients. Now, the thing to keep in mind is not every B2B company will be a potential high paying client, especially for freelance writing. So, before you reach out, you must screen, you must go through the different B2B companies that you have and see whether they actually fit the criteria for a potential high paying client. So, why screening matters is it saves you a lot of time in wasted pitching. If you're going to pitch to random B2B companies, even if it's a good niche, if they don't qualify for a high paying freelance writing client, you'll be wasting your time. And even if you do land them, you might have very low pay, endless revisions, and they might just ghost you. So, screening matters so that you can focus your energy on clients who actually pay well. And yes, high paying clients they are out there, but you just need to know where to look and how to look. So, bad client red flags. What makes a B2B company a bad potential freelance writing client? So, if they don't have a clear budget range, that's more of the case when you actually get in touch with them, if you happen to get in touch with them, they're not really sure what they're willing to pay on content marketing. If they have no blog or content presence at all, that is a major red flag. If they have a blog, but the last post was 3 to 4 years ago, what it means is they've cut their content budget. They've directed the funds elsewhere. So maybe they've decided that this does not work for them. Perhaps they had someone who didn't do a good job or they didn't know what to do and they've directed their funds away. It's tempting to go after this client because there's this thought that you might help them revive their blog and be the only writer, but it's actually counterintuitive because if they've made the decision not to spend on their blog, you're unlikely going to change that. Now, if they have no online presence, so LinkedIn, Twitter, their website looks dead, that's another red flag. And if there's no clear point of contact, it's hard to reach the decision maker. Even if you have a B2B company which ticks off all the boxes, if you can't reach someone, or if the best you have is if the best you have is their support email or a generic email address, then it's going to be very challenging to land them as a client. All right, so what makes a good high paying client in the B2B niche? First of all, it's Series A, B, or C funded startups are very, very good to target. The reason is because they have money to spend, they understand the value of content marketing, or at least they're willing to try. And bigger companies like HubSpot, of course, they have a very active blog, but they'll offer higher in house. So you don't want to target those giants. Although, if you really want to, you're welcome to, because if you land HubSpot as a client, you're probably set for life in your freelance writing career. But to be safe, target startups or mid sized companies. By the way, you can screen for mid sized companies or any size of companies on LinkedIn. You could screen for that by the number of employees. A good B2B client for freelance writing has an active blog. So at least they post monthly. One blog post per month shows that they are interested and understand the value of a blog. They just don't have the resources to allocate more posts. This is where you get in. If you have any indication that they spend on content writing, so having a few articles is fine. For example, it means that there is just room to grow. So if you see a few articles, it doesn't mean that you have to immediately reject them. They might have understood the value of a blog, they've posted a few articles, but again, they just could not keep it up because they didn't have a writer. And as I said before, if the last post is 3 to 4 years ago, yes, they've redirected their funds away from content. I'm restating that because it feels like you should reach out to them. It feels like there's a high potential there to revive their blog. In my experience and in the experience of my students, it does not work that way. They've just decided to go elsewhere. A good B2B company has a strong online presence. LinkedIn is best, meaning that their company page posts or reshares stuff about their company or stuff about the industry, and the leaders as well are constantly sharing content about their company. Also, you need people you can actually contact. So, marketing manager, content manager, founder. You can find these people on LinkedIn. As I said, LinkedIn is a great place to find B2B clients. You need someone you can reach out to. So, if all of these boxes tick, but you cannot reach out to someone, it's very less likely you will end up having them as a client. So, where to find these clients? Um, Google startup list. I'm gonna add LinkedIn to that, of course. I have a separate video about why LinkedIn is a great place to find and reach out to freelance writing clients. But you can just Google the specific niche that you're in, the sub niche that you're in within B2B companies. You can look at startups. What I did when I was writing for CRM companies is I went through Series A startups in CRM. I got all the companies. I just cross checked, took out those that didn't have a blog, took out those that hadn't updated their blog in a while, and I was left with around 100 who had some form of online presence, showed that they spent on content marketing, had a blog. Usually the owner was the one making posts, especially in a Series A funding, usually monthly or twice a month. All of these are good signs that you can get in and fill that gap. So before you reach out, remember it is a probabilistic process. You're going to get rejected, but you can increase your chances by screening for the right companies from the get-go, so that when you have a list of 100 companies, you have a prime list of companies which are likely to need your services. That dramatically increases the odds that you actually land a client. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next one.